Weigel is an American author and political and social activist. He currently serves as a Distinguished Senior Fellow of the Ethics and Public Policy Center. Weigel was the founding president of the James Madison Foundation. He is the author of the best-selling biography of Pope John Paul II, Witness to Hope and Tranquillitas Ordinis, the present failure and future promise of American Catholic thought on war and peace. Career and personal life. Weigel was born and grew up in Baltimore, Maryland, where he attended St. Mary's Seminary and University. He later received his master's degree from St. Michael's College, University of Toronto. He has received 18 honorary doctorate degrees, as well as the Papal Cross Pro Ecclesiae Pontifice and the Gloria Artis Gold Medal from the Polish Ministry of Culture. Weigel lived in the Seattle area, serving as Assistant Professor of Theology and Assistant Dean of Studies at the St. Thomas the Apostle Seminary School of Theology in Kenmore, Washington, and Scholar in Residence at the World Without War Council of Greater Seattle. Before returning to Washington, D.C. as a Fellow at the Woodrow Wilson International Center for Scholars. Weigel served as the founding president of the James Madison Foundation from 1986 to 1989. In 1994, he was a signer of the document Evangelicals and Catholics Together. He currently serves as Distinguished Senior Fellow and Chair of Catholic Studies at the Ethics and Public Policy Center in Washington, D.C. Each summer, Weigel and several other Catholic intellectuals from the United States, Poland, and across Europe conduct the Tertio Millennio Seminar on the Free Society in Krakow, in which they and an assortment of students from the United States, Poland, and several other emerging democracies in Central and Eastern Europe discuss Christianity within the context of liberal democracy and capitalism, with the papal encyclical Sanctissimus Annus being the focal point. Weigel and his wife Joan live in North Bethesda, Maryland. He has 3 children. He is a member of the Advisory Council of the Victims of Communism Memorial Foundation. Weigel writes and serves on the Institute Board for the Institute for Religion and Public Life, which publishes First Things, an ecumenical publication that focuses on encouraging a religiously informed public philosophy for the ordering of society. Views. The main body of Weigel's writings engage the issues of religion and culture. Weigel advocates a U.S. foreign policy guided not by utopian notions about how nations should behave, but by moral reasoning. For the Iliad to Tolstoy and beyond, that familiar trope, the fog of war, has been used to evoke the millennia-old experience of the radical uncertainty of combat. Some analysts, however, take the trope of the fog of war a philosophical step further and suggest that warfare takes place beyond the reach of moral reason, in a realm of interest and necessity where moral argument is a biased diversion at best and, at worst, a lethal distraction from the deadly serious business at hand. Quote, in some cases, he adds, moral reasoning may require that the United States support authoritarian regimes to fend off the greater evils of moral decay and threats to the security of the United States. For Weigel, America's shortcomings do not excuse her from pursuing the greater moral good. Weigel achieved much fame for writing Witness to Hope, a biography of the late Pope St. John Paul II, which was also made into a documentary film. In 2004, Weigel wrote an article in Commentary magazine, entitled The Cathedral and the Cube, in which he used the contrast between the modernist Grande Arche and the Notre Dame Notre-Dame de Paris Cathedral, both located in Paris, France, to illustrate what he called the loss of civilizational morale in Western Europe, which he tied to the secular tyrannies of the 20th century, along with, more recently, plummeting birth rates and Europe's refusal to recognize the Christian roots of its culture. Weigel questions whether Europe can give an account of itself while denying the very moral tradition through which its culture arose. Christians who share this conviction can give an account of the defense of the other's freedom even if the other, skeptical and relativist, finds it hard to give an account of the freedom of the Christian. Quote, "This is a theme sounded clearly by Marcelo Pera and Cardinal Joseph Ratzinger in the book Without Roots: The West, Relativism, Christianity, Islam, for which Weigel authored the foreword. In 2005, he expanded the article into a book, The Cube and the Cathedral, Europe, America, and Politics Without God. Following the controversial September 2006 lecture of Pope Benedict XVI at Regensburg, Weigel defended the Pope's call for interreligious dialogue based on reason. In January 2009, Weigel expressed concern on the lifting of the excommunications of the bishops of the Society of St. Pius X, essentially because the group has been critical of some aspects of the Second Vatican Council, especially its teaching on religious liberty, which Weigel strongly defends. Publications: books Evangelical Catholicism, Deep Reform in the 21st Century Catholic Church Basic Books, 2013, ISBN 978-0-465-02768-2. The End and the Beginning, Pope John Paul II, The Victory of Freedom, The Last Years, The Legacy, Doubleday, 2010, ISBN 978-0-385-52479-7. Against the Grain, Christianity and Democracy, War and Peace, Crossroad, 2008, ISBN 08245-24489. Faith, Reason, and the War Against Jihadism, A Call to Action, Doubleday, 2007, ISBN 978-0-385-52378-3. God's Choice, Pope Benedict XVI and the Future of the Catholic Church, HarperCollins, 2005, ISBN 006-621331-2. The Cube and the Cathedral, Europe, America, and Politics Without God, Basic Books, 2005, ISBN 0-465-09266-7. Letters to a Young Catholic, Basic Books, 2004, ISBN 0-465-09262-4. The Courage to be Catholic, Crisis, Reform, and the Future of the Church Basic Books, 2002, ISBN 0-465-09260-8. The Truth of Catholicism, 10 Controversies Explored, HarperCollins, 2001, ISBN 0-06-621330-4. Witness to Hope, The Biography of Pope John Paul II, HarperCollins, 1999, ISBN 0-06-018793-X. Soul of the World, Notes on the Future of Public Catholicism, Edmonds, 1996, ISBN 0802842070. The Final Revolution, The Resistance Church and the Collapse of Communism, Oxford University Press, 1992, ISBN 0-19-507160-3. Just War and the Gulf War, Ethics and Public Policy Center, 1991, ISBN 0896331660. Freedom and Its Discontents. Catholicism Confronts Modernity, Ethics and Public Policy Center, 1991, ISBN 0896331158-X. American Interests, American Purpose, Moral Reasoning and U.S. Foreign Policy. Prager publishes, 1989, ISBN 0-275-93335-0. Catholicism and the Renewal of American Democracy. Parlist Press, 1989, ISBN 0-8091-3043-2. Tranquillitas Ordinis, The Present Failure and Future Promise of American Catholic Thought on War and Peace, Oxford University Press, 1987, ISBN 0-19-504193-3.